HD Nation.
This episode of HD Nation is brought to you by Audible.
Time to get our HD Nation on. And speaking of infinite HDMI ports from our last episode.
Just won't leave.
You say infinite HDMI once.
I know. Hey, Matt writes in, hey guys, just catching up with this week's shows and noticed that you guys didn't have a huge list of AV receivers that had an abundance of HDMI inputs. Check out Yamaha's website. I personally run a Yamaha receiver with 7.2 sound and have thoroughly enjoyed the performance along with the large amount of inputs. Here's the link for one of their receivers that hosts 7 HDMI inputs along with 2 HDMI outputs as well. Enjoy the show and keep it up. Signed, Matt in Riverside, California.
That is a lot of HDMI inputs.
Now, in the more finite world, Ron's got a pretty common Netflix problem. His ISP seems to be, quote, sucking wind. Because my question is about connecting my household's LAN. The Blu-ray player's built-in 802.11n Wi-Fi works, but shows a low 0.5 megabit per second connection speed to Netflix. I have an Ethernet cable going to the living room for my Dish Network receiver. Should I add a hub or a switch and get the Blu-ray player on a wired link? Do you have a suggestion for a good but cheap solution? Or do you think the bandwidth is so low because of my ISP, Cablevision? Speedtest.net says that I have a download speed of about 1 megabit per second. At the same time of day, evening that I was trying to watch Netflix, Cablevision advertises the download speed of 15 megabits per second, but I guess that's only when no one else is online. Maybe switching to Verizon Fios, or Fios, I always get that backwards, would be the best solution. Any thoughts are welcome. Signed, Ron. Now, I prefer to have my hardware especially my video devices,
Ethernet hardwire.
Going to Ethernet.
Yeah.
I've tried doing wireless with HD streaming.
I actually have like a
have fewer issues.
5-port switch on my media tower.
I'm
going to have to either add a second 5-port switch or go to a 10-port tower because of all the weird little
I recently added a
set-top boxes
5-port
I've been
switch
playing
to my, instead of just doing wireless to the very front of the living room, and it's great. I take one of the ports off my router, gigabit, to a gigabit switch, and it's all automatically linked and doing its thing, and I really like it. And I picked it up, I want to say it was about $30.
Yeah.
And they're not very expensive. If you need more ports, yeah, you pay a little bit more.
I actually just saw some nice, decent brand 5-port gigabit switches on sellout.woot.com for like $6. Switches are sorted technology. They're done. Just buy one. If you want to get fancy, buy one from the same company that made your router. I was wondering maybe there'd been a switch advance or something. I asked the most excellent people at smallnetbuilder.com if switch brand made a difference. They're on Twitter now, by the way, at smallnetbuilder. And they said, nope, gigabit is very mature tech, and all the switches support wire speed between all ports simultaneously. So just buy a switch, buy a cheap switch,
Totally.
throw it in there.
My new one says it will turn off ports that are unused and minimize the electricity needed for each port.
You got a D-Link, don't you?
Yeah, I did.
Like one of their green routers.
Yeah, I had a D-Link router, D-Link switch, yeah.
So, I mean, given how slow your speed test is, I got to say, did you run it over a hardwire connection to your router with nobody else in the house using the internet, right?
Yeah.
You did that, or because you don't want to do it over wireless. You want to make sure like Timmy isn't downloading something in the other room. You should probably call your ISP, call Cablevision, and say, hey, can you check my connection? Because sometimes either the physical provisioning, or I should say the computer provisioning or the physical wiring can have issues that drop your speed. Because it's funny, Netflix does now a monthly since January. They started doing the Netflix techblog.netflix.com does a monthly Netflix performance on top ISP networks. So you get this huge chart which looks like this, and it's kilobits per second, and it's from the best to the worst, and it's Charter, Comcast, Cable One, TWC, Cox, Suddenlink, Cablevision, Verizon, and then you get down here to AT&T, CenturyLink, Windstream, Frontier, and Clearwire. Clearwire sucking the big wind down there at the bottom. So Netflix actually should be, or excuse me, Cablevision, Netflix should look pretty good on Cablevision. You should be at least be getting like, 2 megabits down.
If you could try rebooting all the hardware too, the cable modem and the router together. It's sometimes if you have the voice and data all coming in one box, you can't really reboot those boxes. They have battery backups in them. They're not made to really be turned on and off. However, if you have the standalone cable modem,
Right.
that's a good thing to try to redo.
Unplug the cable modem, unplug the router, plug in the
Totally.
cable modem, plug in the router.
Or if you have an old cable modem and it's been a while, maybe you've been using the same service for 5 years, see if they have a new version of, the modem, and that can make a world of difference too.
Is my cable modem DOCSIS 3.0? Can you verify that? Can a technician check my lines? Also, by the way, go into your Netflix account setting and look for the manage video quality settings.
I did not know this.
This is actually something that's worth looking for. Basically, we know some of you have internet data caps. We want to make it easier for you to manage how much data you use. We offer 3 video quality settings to help manage your data usage.
The fire hose mode.
Well, basically, make sure you're not down on good quality, right? Good quality is around 0.3 gigabytes per hour. That's about 0.7 megabits per second. Best quality is a gigabyte per hour, or around, it's kind of funny, gigabyte per hour, up to 2.3 gigabytes per hour for HD. Which is 2.27 to like 3 something megabits down. I have to start tracking my bandwidth consumption because I can see back here my wife was watching Joan Rivers. My wife, like, she doesn't watch any television, and then there'll be a binge, usually involving like Bones. She loves that series. It's on Netflix, netflix.com/Texilla. That said, if you have problems getting them to help you sort this out, Cablevision when you call them, and Fios, Verizon's.
I think I would know that by now.
Oh my goodness! If you can get Fios, get it, because
for fiber.
Do you know anybody who doesn't like Fios or any form of fiber that they have?
Not really.
Yeah.
They all seem pretty content.
So cue the giant pile of angry email from Texilla viewers with Fios at home who hate it. But everybody I know who has it is absolutely thrilled with it because it's stupid fast and it's stupid well provisioned. I'm going to go grab your LG television.
Oh, sweet. It's
So
all
hopefully
plugged in and everything.
There's not a terrible crash around the corner.
No, let's see if the cable actually holds up. What Pat's dragging over is actually the LG 50 PZ550. It's a brand new 3D plasma. There goes all the cords. Actually, let me restart some video. Back.
Obviously, I'm not up for that job on The Price is Right.
This is one of their more affordable models, actually. This isn't the top of the line. And I have to say, overall, I was pretty impressed. Let me get it centered here. Does this look okay?
Looks
Look at that.
fantastic.
Here, let me get to the, is there a chapter
We're
mark
not going
on
to see
this?
anything that's going to make us cry, are we?
I hope not. It's supposedly just, oh, and it's in 3D mode.
Oh!
Oh, the blur.
You hurt me.
Let me turn off the 3D. Cancel.
I want to see animals, not bleeding
Pro tip,
eyeballs.
if you're watching 3D programming, you can hit the cancel button, and that didn't do a darn thing, apparently. We try that one more time.
Where's the exit 3D mode?
Turn off 3D mode. Enter. Ah, there we go. There we go. This baby, the PZ550, has an online price of about $1,100, and it uses active shutter glass technology. They're fancy glass we have charging up right there. It also includes LG's Netcast entertainment access. That's basically their internet-based streaming services, so your Netflix, your Pandora, and other things like that. Wi-Fi dongle is optional, but it's got Ethernet on the back, so it's ready to go. A thin bezel design, about 1 inch wide. That's what caught my eye, I'd have to say first. Basically, the border around it is about 1 inch. We even still have the plastic on it, which is how much we're rolling. Just nice glossy black. Actually, it includes 4 HDMI ports, 1 on the side. And I see this TV really competing almost directly with the Panasonic ST30 that we looked at about, pretty recently, like 1 or 2 weeks ago. Right now, this LG has a slight price advantage, and I'm curious, though, how the picture performance compared. And bringing up the first thing, Cinema 1 basically, actually, it was pretty darn well. Do you have that one chart for me, sir? Right out of the
I thought
box.
it was on the thumb drive, and it turned out to be in my email.
Oh, it is in your email. Actually, I have to say, right out of the box, LG did a really good setup job in terms of its color. The primary and secondary color points, basically your red, blue, green, yellow, cyan, and magenta, they were pretty close to the targets that you want them to be at for HD video. And the default white balance, basically what the color of white is, in its cinema mode, it was too blue, but it was decent, especially compared to the ST30's default setup. You can see right there, the blue's a little jacked up, but the CIE...
not the blue from me highlighting.
The CIE chart down in the bottom center there, the nice colored triangle.
Sorry.
There we go. Where those color points are on that chart's actually pretty darn good for something that's coming right out of the box. Now, they have a pretty decent set of controls as well for looking at, yeah, you see that? And the white point in the middle, that gives you an idea. You see how all the blue bars up above you there are kind of spiked up a little? Well, it in turn moves the white point toward blue a little bit, meaning that instead of being a more neutral gray or neutral shades of gray, they're a little bluish, which isn't bad necessarily, but it does need to be corrected if you want accurate spec per se. Now, cleaning up the white balance, you can see right there, with the tools available, I was able to dial that in and actually hammer down those blues a little bit. However, like you can see right there, especially in this case at the 60% mark, essentially, it was a little out of whack, and it was hard to get that to be correct. If I moved the 60 mark and got it right, something else would spike up. And I kept dancing around trying to get that just the way I wanted. And this is kind of really what you end up with when you talk about one of the more value-oriented 3D TVs. There's what differentiates a TV like this, say, to compare to the premium model that LG offers? Well, like THX certification and more massaging of the picture itself before it leaves the factory. But the bottom line really is that the PZ550 is one of the best deals out there for a 50-inch 3D screen. Picture performance-wise, I was impressed with it. And Panasonic's similar spec ST30, when I compared it to that, that's really where I was like, wow, LG's doing a slightly better job in the mid-range than Panasonic in terms of their default setups. And the LG's a couple $100 less.
What do you expect this to street for?
Just barely over 1,000. It was like 1,012 or something, average street price. And the glasses run about $75, a little bit less than that.
The prices keep dropping.
Another difference I've also found between plasmas like these, the mid-range plasmas compared to the ultra high-end, is a filter that goes on the front. They actually make the filters on the more expensive TVs really dark, so that if this TV were letterboxed or something, you'd notice that the black of a letterbox bar would be a little bit more gray than it would be on a more expensive TV where they're using a darker front filter and just making it brighter from behind. And that's where I began to appreciate. But in a dark room, you wouldn't notice, really, you'd probably notice some differences, but there'd be less differences in a dark room compared to a bright room with these TVs and the more expensive cousins of theirs. So,
ladies and gentlemen,
yeah.
Another option for the mid-range. It's $1,000 for a 50-inch
Not
TV
bad.
that looks
for
good.
1080p, Netflix. I actually have this hooked up to their new 560 Blu-ray player. 670, excuse me, Wi-Fi Blu-ray player, but well, we'll show that off in upcoming episodes.
We're going to have like a giant comparison.
The Blu-ray Showdown's coming up. But first, now it's time for the new Blu-ray releases for the week of June 28th, 2011. First up, Lord of the Rings, the Motion Picture Trilogy Extended Editions. Last April, they released the trilogy on Blu-ray, but that was only the theatrical editions, which angered fans far and wide. Now those fans can rejoice, as the extended editions of this trilogy are now being released on Blu-ray. This release gets an MPEG-4 AVC codec, a 2.41:1 aspect ratio, and a DTS HD Master Audio 6.1 soundtrack. Each film comes with 4 different commentary tracks, and each film has its own feature-length making of documentary. Plus, there are tons of featurettes going into various aspects of the production, too many to list here. Each film is divided across 2 Blu-ray discs, totaling 6 50-gigabyte discs, and the special features, digital copies, and the aforementioned feature-length documentaries are spread across 9 DVDs. Next up, Sucker Punch. This 2011 film by the director of Watchmen, Zack Snyder, got mixed reviews when it came out, to be generous about it. You can get the release in either the standard release or the extended edition, which adds 18 minutes of footage, bumps the rating from PG-13 to an R, and I'm told improves the film quite a bit. Both versions come in a 239:1 aspect ratio and include a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 soundtrack. Extras include a 3-minute featurette about the soundtrack, 4 animated shorts, and the extended cut includes Maximum Movie Mode, an interactive video commentary that includes animated storyboards, interviews with Snyder, and more. Also released this week, Season of the Witch. This 2011 film takes place in the 14th century, starring Nicolas Cage as a knight that has to escort a suspected witch to a monastery. With an MPEG-4 AVC codec, 1.85:1 aspect ratio, and a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 mix, this release also comes with a digital copy. Extras include a shocking alternate ending, deleted scenes, behind-the-scenes featurettes, audio commentaries, and more. And as always, check out our show notes at techzilla.com or hdnation.tv for the rest of this week's Blu-ray releases. Now it's time to thank one of our sponsors, Audible.
Audible.com, it is an amazing place to find digital audiobooks. They're the leading provider of downloadable digital audiobooks and spoken word entertainment. They've got over 75,000 titles to choose from. You can download them to your iPod, your MP3 player, play them back anywhere, anytime. They are so good for long plane rides and road trips. Choose from books in every genre: science fiction, thrillers, drama, comedy, business, history, and quite a few more. Do yourself a favor, go to audiblepodcast.com/TechZilla to get a free audiobook download of your choice when you sign up today. Again, go to audiblepodcast.com/TechZilla. You get a free audiobook and you'll keep TechZilla coming to you on the air. TV.